What's going on there, people? It's the Guitar Story in here. Wanted to show you some of the upgrades I've made to the backdrop here, and also we have the Fender out. But the first thing I wanted to show you is what I'm sitting on. So, ordered one of these jobbers on Amazon. It's the Fender Custom Shop 24-inch stool. I always loved going into guitar stores and having these stools around. They just seem to be at the perfect height, right? And then you put your legs up and it's just perfect, right? And you just play all day. It's just very comfortable. You can put your legs down. It's still kind of comfortable. Either way, it's just perfect, right? So, as you can see behind me, I've kind of cleaned up the back wall here. This is an IKEA bookshelf, and there's stuff behind all these records, but basically what I did was just covered everything up with records. And I just uploaded a video earlier today about these records that I found at a flea market, and I thought that it would really make a cool kind of backdrop edition, and I can get more records and kind of swap them around and things like that. But generally speaking, they're all cool records, and I just wanted to give you a really quick rundown of what each one means to me, just as a music fan and everything. So we'll start up here with the boss, Bruce Springsteen. Born in the USA, was really big in the mid-'80s, obviously, and I was probably a young lad at that time. I was 6-7 years old when it came out, and it was just everywhere, and it was one of those things that obviously the album cover is iconic and everything, and it's just one of those albums that everybody knows. Everybody knows Born in the USA. They know Glory Days. They know all the hits off of that album. It's just a great album, and obviously sold a lot of copies, and one of those things that it's just really a good addition. I'm not like a huge Bruce fan. I'm more of like a kind of greatest hits. I don't really listen to his albums like that, but obviously this album's a little bit different. The next one over here is King Crimson, obviously, in the Court of the Crimson King album. This album artwork is obviously extremely iconic, and for obvious reasons, that's why it makes the list. I wasn't really into King Crimson that much. I'm into progressive rock, and their stuff is very ahead of its time when it was released in the late 60s. So when I actually listened to it, I was really knocked out by the album, and obviously when I saw it for sale, I was like, well, I gotta get that. The album cover's awesome, right? Obviously right behind my head, you got the White Album. I don't think we need to explain much more about that. The album over here is Boston. Okay, that's their first record. If you don't know Boston's first record, if you've never heard it, then I don't know what planet you're living on. It's one of the best debut albums of all time. More Than a Feeling, Foreplay Long Time, Peace of Mind, Rock and Roll Band, Hitch a Ride. Like, there are so many songs on that album. It's just ridiculous. So listen to that album if you haven't. Next one over is one you might not know. This is Genesis Live from 1973. This is Genesis, one of my favorite bands, especially with the Peter Gabriel. This is Peter right where my finger is. And Peter Gabriel is obviously one of my favorite artists. Probably a lot of other of you guys' favorite artists too. Just somebody who refuses to be tied down to any particular genre or kind of box, which I love about a lot of musicians like that. That's the reason why I like Beck too. But I figured that would be a good addition because it kind of like is a catch-all of the early days of Genesis. There's only 5 songs on that album, so Genesis likes those long songs. Over here we have Santana's first album. This is the one that had Evil Ways and Soul Sacrifice. This was the album that came out before Woodstock. And I just love this cover. It's black and white and the lion's mane and everything, but it seems to have like women's legs coming down and a person up here and everything. So it's kind of like there's people's faces. It's a cool album cover. And obviously, who doesn't like Santana? Nobody, right? ELO, another one of my favorite bands, Jeff Lynne. This is the album with Mr. Blue Sky on it. And there's a couple other songs. It's a big double album that they released out of the blue. This is probably like their middle period when they were getting like really big and everything. Behind me that you can't really see, again, Abbey Road. Not really too much. I think you know all about Abbey Road. And then more Beatles. The Beatles are my number one, so obviously I'm going to have more Beatles than anything else. Meet the Beatles. I was trying to think of like which Beatles record can I take down. I don't know. It's not going to be Meet the Beatles. It's not going to be Abbey Road. It's not going to be the White Album. What are you going to do? I don't know. Next to Meet the Beatles, you have kind of in the shadows here, Eric Clapton's 461 Ocean Boulevard. This album was recorded after he kind of kicked the heroin habit and was trying to get off drugs in the 70s. So it's a good album. Definitely has a lot of vigor and life to it, like he's kind of reinventing himself a little bit. It definitely has more of a 70s feel than Clapton's early stuff. It was the album that he had I Shot the Sheriff, had a big hit with I Shot the Sheriff on that. Obviously, a lot of people didn't know at the time that I Shot the Sheriff was a cover of Bob Marley's song, and that's kind of what made Bob Marley big in the States. So you can thank Eric Clapton for kind of starting Bob Marley's career, for the most part, in the States. Down here is Johnny Cash at San Quentin, another classic. This one is A Boy Named Sue. The funny thing about A Boy Named Sue that I always thought was like hilarious is Boy Named Sue was written by Shel Silverstein. All right, if you don't know who that is, if you were a kid and you ever read that book, the black and white book where the sidewalk ends with all the kid poems and stuff, that's Shel Silverstein, and he wrote A Boy Named Sue. Okay, so just a really interesting little side note there about that album. Right over here is Blue Oyster Cult's Agents of Fortune, the album that has Don't Fear the Reaper on it. I just always like this cover. There's something kind of simplistic about it with the magician and everything and the cards. I don't know. It's just interesting to me. I'll get up for this next one. So over here we have Who Are You by The Who, obviously. This is the last album that Keith Moon played on with The Who. Unfortunately passed away a couple of years later. This album is kind of underrated. I've always liked this album a lot because it's got, obviously Who Are You? It's got a couple other songs, but there's a lot of songs on this album that are just good, and it's like a good kind of complete album, and I've always, kind of liked it. Hiding over here is Dire Straits' first album, obviously the album with Sultans of Swing and Down to the Waterline. And behind the amps, you can't see it really at all, is the Beatles Yesterday and Today. So that's, a lot of the new finds. I kind of used them all. I underestimated how many cubbies I had, and I bought like 10 records, and I was like, I'll be enough, considering the ones I already had. But I had all Beatles records, and I was trying to move them kind of down because, I'm trying to get the Beatles, like, kind of, they're still here, but not front and center. But anyway. Yeah, so that's that. So a couple of nice little additions to the world here, the guitar world. And I'm probably going to try to film in front of this video, or in front of this backdrop from now on, whenever I'm doing my intros for If Guitars Could Speak, whenever I'm doing other kind of just miscellaneous videos just like this one. But yeah, if anybody has any questions about any of these albums, feel free to ask. I've listened to them all, obviously, probably not on vinyl, which I could probably do now, but yeah, even if you're interested in hearing a song or a track that, I'm not going to obviously get any royalties for, I'm going to probably get demonetized on that, but I don't care. If you want me to play one of these on vinyl or whatever, because I do have a record player in the back, I can pull that out and we can listen to some tunes if you want. Other than that, that's about it. I'm pretty stoked about my whole setup here, and I just wanted to show it off. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching. See you next time.